seeing this scenery is such a wonderful thing, and turning 40 made me think of a lot of things, made me reminisce towards, my past, my childhood, like the steps that I've went through to get to where I am. And yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I've always wanted to fly, I mean, it's a cliche thing, but I can't remember a time when I didn't want to fly. And sometimes I start to think maybe at some point, most kids thought of that at some point in their life. They would want to be airborne. They would want to be a pilot. And yeah, as I grew up towards my early childhood years, I started reading novels when I was probably around the 10th, when I was 10 years old. Would go to a bookstore, read an aviation novel about great pilots like Gregory Boyington, Tom Blackburn of the VF-17, Saburo Sakai, which is one of my heroes when I was growing up, in terms of teaching me about never giving up and sheer determination, how it would conquer a lot of things. And yeah, when I was probably around 11 years old, I started, or I got myself into building scale models, like model airplanes and stuff like that. And I built a couple, during my childhood years. I would even some of my models are even hanging on my room. Sometimes I would put flak on them. I'm into World War II stuff. I built stuff like B-17s, Wildcats, stuff like that. And I never got out of that, even until now. Actually, I'm building a Corsair at home right now. And, it's always been a hobby of mine, and it got me through some of the odd times in my childhood and adolescent years. Then we went to Canada, immigrated to Canada as a family. And when we immigrated, I got introduced to, my dad introduced me to Microsoft Flight Simulator. And pretty much I taught myself how to fly then, through the years. But the first flight simulator that I've ever flown was FS-95. That was pretty much the same year as when Windows 95 came out, and that's that was the first flight simulator that I came across with. Was it FS-95 or I think it's called FS 5.1, which is a little bit before FS-95 or something like that. But anyway, yeah, that introduced me to flying. Taught myself how to fly. Read a couple of books about flying and stuff like that. Turned 16.
Tower RPT
flew my first introductory flight in Toronto Island Airport. It was at the Diamond DA-20 Katana. And I was with a blonde instructor at that time. And yeah, I really fell in love with the airplane. I really fell in love with the DA-20. It was a wonderful airplane and stuff like that. I didn't even look at the instructor, but I'm sure she was really, really up there in terms of looks, But anyway, that really inspired me to start looking into my future. And during my high school, what I would do is what I did was choose credits that would lead towards me getting like an engineering program, or getting me into an engineering program in a university in Canada. So yeah, I tailored pretty much my high school towards getting like a mechanical engineering, because that's what I thought flying would require, at the time. Plus, my parents always tells me, always have a fallback just in case, the flying thing is not for you and stuff like that. And I agree with them, I've always been a
Maintain VFR.
good kid when I was, when I was young. Never really partied
Tower
that much.
RPC
I was a little bit more of a homeboy and stuff like that.
requesting for another 185 approach.
But yeah,
Make a normal pattern.
when I was
for your
18,
request. Traffic
so
depart.
sorry, before I was 18, when I was
We'll make
around,
normal pattern.
shortly after, my first
273, runway
first
heading
flight.
5000, cleared for takeoff, runway 02.
In Canada, you're allowed to work at a fairly young age,
commence right turn traffic,
part-time.
runway 02.
And I think I was on my grade 11. That's when I started working part-time. I worked in a place called Pizza Hut, cooking pizzas. And that was my first job. And I worked as well as in places like Computer City.
Extend downwind.
What else do I remember?
Approved and report commencing.
Some shipping and receiving for some textile company, like loading trailers with clothes and stuff like that. But those extra bit of money, that's what got me saving up for the PPL license. And of course, my parents. My parents had a very, very big help on it. They helped me secure like a loan for my flying, they pretty much paid most of that. Of course, I tried to pay as much as I can with it, but it only went so far. Beyond that, I had to pretty much support my way by working the odd jobs. To college, I decided to take mechanical engineering, only to find out that it wasn't really for me. Like 2 years into it, so I kind of went back out of that one, and I shifted to aircraft maintenance. And right at around that time, I was 18 years old. That's when I started my flying as well. Pretty much part-time on the weekends
contact approach,
Rapid Flying Club.
119er decimal.
That was in 1998. And I first soloed May 21st of
Tower 40 commencing 185.
1999.
Report.
So yeah, I've been flying for 21 years already. And not all of it is smooth sailing, but that was exhilarating, the flight training. So I got into my PPL. Immediately after that, I figured, well, I probably need to earn my IFR rating, my instrument rating, as early as possible. So in order to practice for that, the first thing I did after my PPL ratings was to get my night endorsement, which allowed me to fly night VFR. I figured, at night, at least I get to practice shoot some approaches on some airport, and it would be as close to IFR, even though you log it as VFR, but at least you get some practice, So yeah, that's what I did. Then I got my instrument rating, and then I stopped. Right there, probably because back then, my funds ran out, and I just started. I shifted course, moved into aircraft maintenance, as I said earlier, and 9/11 happened, and that really was a morale, a morale low for me. It really dipped my morale there, and all of a sudden, our prospects of getting a job just ran out like that. But went on with the aircraft maintenance thing, graduated, and worked for a bit in the airport, refueled airplanes for a bit, and then I got into Canada Post, which is a post office, and worked, sorting mail and driving forklifts and becoming a mailman, like walking 12 kilometers. That was the healthiest point in my life. I was around 24 years old, and I only weighed like 60 kilos at the time, But that was the healthiest I've ever been. I would walk 12 kilometers per day. And then all that work allowed me to gather up some more funds. And when I was around 27 years old, I pursued the flying again, continued on with my CPL training. And yeah, and graduated. And in 2008, I just happened to decided, okay, you know what? I think I want to see the Philippines for a bit. So I went here for a vacation and visited some of the flying schools here, and I came across Omni, and the owner of Omni, which at the time was Captain Benher Gomez, which was to become my mentor, offered me a job on the spot. You know, how would you like to be working as an instructor for us? And yeah, I'll cover all of your instructing expenses. In exchange, you know, you have to do some paperwork for us, like fix our syllabus, do our become a safety officer and stuff like that, which I gladly did, you know. And that really opened the door for me. And so I decided to move out of Canada, move here in the Philippines, and that started my career, pretty much. So I was an instructor for about a year and a half, helping out as well, safety officer thing, writing down some syllabus, fixing some syllabus here and there. And then eventually I moved up and accepted a job with Soriano Aviation. That's about a year and a half later. They fly a Dornier 228, which is a two-engine 19-seater aircraft. And they service this really high-end resort called Amanpulo, which a lot of Hollywood celebrities go to. And that was my first multi-crew airplane. And I learned a lot from that, you know. I've flown with great pilots who taught me along the way, taught me the craft of flying multi-crew, introduced me to corporate flying. And I also did some paperwork with them, you know, like revised their safety management system, some of their manuals, etc. And that was an interesting job. And that was cool. I actually enjoyed that one. But I only stayed there for about a year. After that, Cebu Pacific called. That was my first airline gig, Cebu Pacific. And I'm still there right now. So they called me as an ATR 72-500 first officer. That was in 2011. I was 31 years old. And then a year and a half later, I was captain. And from there, everything pretty much went up. And 2016, they offered me an instructor job. And in 2017, I was with management. And I've been with management ever since.
638 established final 02.
And
RPC
yeah,
663, continue approach.
That was really awesome.
Continue approach,
working with
RPC
Cebu Pacific.
638.
I could have gone up to Airbus. I was offered that, but you know, I figured, you know what, with my experience and Captain Gomez, the way he nurtured me, he always told me, you know, at some point you're going to be management, and you can't avoid it. So yeah, so I decided to be management. I figured, well, why not? I'm not in a rush anyway. So flying the jets, and I was enjoying the ATR a lot. You know, I get to go home and, every day, no layovers and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. And then I got into management, and I got into training and standards, which is the coolest place to be in management. You know, at least I'm in the instructing field, which is exactly what I want. You know, I've ever since I became an instructor, I've always wanted to teach, and that was like a true blessing for me, and that really started it for me in terms of my career, getting proficient with what I do, and the learning. I really learned a lot being an instructor, especially in the simulator when I got to become a simulator instructor and eventually a designated flight test examiner for the ATR 500 and the 600. So here I am now. And like 2019, I decided, you know what, I have the funds, why not? Decided to get my airplane when everybody else wanted to get, you know, like expensive bikes and stuff like that. I wanted an airplane. and it wasn't really so bad, you know. When I got this airplane, it's about the price of a small SUV. Tweaked it here and there, and I got I got it to the flying condition that where it is now, thanks to the help of Will, who is my chief mechanic and manager of this airplane. So yeah, and I've been flying for fun ever since. Who would have known? You know, like you start off small, and then you know you've made it when you've gone full circle. You know, going back to the same training airplane that I've flown before. I sold it a 172, then eventually moved to a 152, by the way. But I mean, you get the point. I mean, I got back to the general aviation, and yeah, this is when I realized that this is what I truly love. You know, flying Gen Av in a small single-engine airplane. Nothing beats this, you know. Yeah, even with the ATR, we fly like 15, 17, 18,000 feet, which is not that high as an airliner. Like, you don't get the same scenery as you do flying a small airplane like this. And yeah, that's the best decision I've ever made. So yeah, looking back to that, now I'm 40 years old, and as I said, it's just truly been an awesome journey. And I guess that's what being 40 is about. You know, at some point in your life, when you turn 40, most people are pretty much, most people at the age of 40 pretty much know where they are in their lives, and I think that's where I am right now. Hopefully this COVID thing wears off really quickly, and like the airlines, the airline I'm at, hopefully it survives. But I guess it's just a matter of keeping the faith, doing the best I can, working as hard as I can, with every single day, giving my all, and at the same time playing hard as well, and this is my reward for hard days of work, and it's truly awesome. Yeah, so that's about it, and so now I'm climbing up. I'm at 6,000 feet over Pantabangan Dam, and then I'll be crossing over the mountains. I'll just probably look around a little bit. Looks like there's a solid overcast, at least at the mountains I'm looking at in front of me. They're below, so it's not really a threat. But if it stays like this, there's no point in continuing on to Banaue Rice Terraces. So anyway, that's my story. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you very much. And to all my friends, especially my family, my parents who worked so hard to get me, to help me succeed. Thank you very much, the bottom of my heart. Without you, like, I wouldn't even go this far. I wouldn't even dream, even touching an airplane. But, like, you did good. You did good. You raised me well. You got me into flying. And, in my hard times you were there as well, and for that I'm forever thankful. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this, and let's just enjoy the scenery now. Bye bye.